Hi there and welcome to Stamping in the Barnyard. My name is Bethany Barnard and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I'm excited to share with you today this envelope card. You may have seen them around. I know I have. There's one even featured in the catalog, but without instructions, and I have no idea whether or not it folds flat and fits in an envelope as this one will. And I did find a video on how to make an envelope card, and there are two things about this one that were not true of the one that I saw. One is this folds flat, so it will fit in our medium envelopes. The one I saw the video of, you need to create a box to be able to give it to somebody and that would change shipping, or you'd have to hand deliver it. So I really wanted to make one that would fit in our envelope. The other thing that I managed to do, and I'm excited about this, is I've managed to make it with just a half sheet of cardstock. So this is cut at 4 1/4. And then I did take off a 1/2 inch at this end, and you'll want to keep that because it could be useful as you make the card. Now this is part of a series that I'm making of using the fully flowering ephemera pack that was in our last year's annual catalog from 2024 to 2025, and it's returned this year. So it's in our catalog for another year. And the reason that I went to the ephemera pack is because I did have 3, that would be nice if it was 6, 3 rooms full of ladies that were making 6 projects, and I knew the time that it would take to stamp, cut, die cut, color, all of the flowers that you would need for this card would just be too time consuming, and they'd make one project and have to leave. And on that day we had the 6 projects. So the ephemera pack became a friend to me, and that's when I decided I wanted to make a whole series of how you can use your pack of flowers. And along the series, you'll see that I use almost every flower that's in that pack by each different project using different flowers. So I hope you'll follow along. If you get a pack of that fully flowering ephemera, you'll be able to make so many of these cards. Also, if you don't have your own demonstrator and you need one, I'd love to have you look me up. I'm Stamping in the Barnyard. My name is Bethany Barnard, and you can find me through the Stampin' Up website, and you could buy that ephemera pack. And remember that now we get 10% of anything we purchase back to us for a future purchase with our new reward program. Okay, so I am going to take you through how to make this card, and I'm excited to take it step by step. I will have the measurements underneath the video in the description box, but some of this is really hard to describe, so I visually want to take you through this. Now, this is my second time starting with this video. Those of you who make videos will understand that. I say second time, it's probably my 22nd time, at least. So there's already score marks here, but in order to walk you through it, I wanted to be able to show you. So this is, as I said, a 1/2 sheet of cardstock. This would come to 11. I took off this 1/2 inch, and then this is 4 1/4. Once you have that cut down, save this piece. You may need it, you may not, but you want to have it in case. And then you're going to score it 4, 5, 9, and 10. How easy is that? Okay, then we're going to put away our scoreboard. And then we're going to bring out our cutter. And on the side that you have this 1/2 inch tab here, you are going to want to put this on 2 1/2 inches. And then you're going to want to cut to this score line. Now, I prefer to get my my cutting blade from there and bring it down. Because if I go this way, I may forget to stop and I'll cut it all the way off, and you don't want to do that. And so you just want to cut all of that off. And then this first score line was at 4, so you should be able to put this right on 4. And again, from that point, cut upward. And I can go a little bit further here. There we go. And you're going to just want to break that off. So this is going to be part of the envelope. You can see it coming together, but before you put your cutter away, you want to take this piece, and you have, again, you have the 5.5 inch, and then you have an inch on both sides. What I like to do is put this score mark on the 1/2 inch line. This does not have to be exact, but you do want it to be the same on both sides. And I'm going to cut that piece off, and then I'm going to take this score mark, and I am going to put that also on. I hope that's in camera. Put that on the 1/2 inch mark and cut that off. So now you have a 4 inches with scores on each side and a 1/2 inch tab on both sides. And that's another piece that you're going to need to make this envelope card. Now, don't put your cutter too far away because we will be using it again. In fact, we will also have a piece of designer series paper, which I don't see in here, but I know it's around. I know why. Okay, because I wanted to show you these two. I am using this DSP. You can use any DSP. On this particular card that I made, you can see that I took the flower side and I put that as the liner for the envelope, and I thought, well, that'll work because it'll just look like more flowers coming up. But on this one, I am going to go ahead and do the other side to show you how it looks either way. And since I had one cut on the vertical, because you wouldn't want your flowers laying like this, and I had this piece, I'm going to go ahead and use this side to show you how that looks. But you can go either way, whichever you prefer. Now, the way that we cut these, I'm going to cut the designer series paper first. And this is when grid paper really earns its keep. So I'm going to go ahead and put this so that it's in the camera. I'm going to put this up in this top right quadrant. And what I know, now it doesn't matter so much with this pattern because there's not a direction to it. But if you're using a directional paper, then you will want to come down from what will be the top of your envelope liner. You'll want to come down 3 squares or 3/4 of an inch. Now, I like to mark it on the back side. That way I don't have to worry about it being seen. And so I'm just going to come down 3/4 here and mark it, and 3/4 here and mark it. And then the other thing I need to do is, and this is easier down here where you have the ruler. So I'm going to show it to you down here, but then I'll try to get it in the camera because this is 3 3/4, which means that half of it would be 1 7/8. So if I go 1 here and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then I know I'm at half. I'm at the half point. So that's all you want to mark, except, you know, measure twice, cut once. You're going to do it on the side that has the 3/4 inches. So forgive that little mistake there. So I'm going to put this back here. I'm going to do 1 7/8, and that way I can show it to you twice. 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's my halfway mark, and there I've got it marked. And then I'll show you on the cutter how easy that is. Our trimmers are great for this. So what I do is I literally put that halfway mark in the right where the cutting gully is, hold my finger on it, and then I just turn this until that other mark is also in the gully. Double check. This does not have to be exact. You'll see why. And you'll cut that off, and then you'll put this in the gully, and you'll turn so that your other mark is in the gully. Whoops, I just felt that move, and we don't want that. Even though it really is so forgiving, so don't worry about that too much. So there we have this. Now I am ready for a new cutting blade on there, so forgive me on that part. Mine is probably getting old, so the edges are a little bit raw. And now we're doing basically the same thing on this piece, because we're going to want to put this in here like that. And you could make this longer, but I always like to save paper. You don't see anything below it, so I only started with a 2 inches. Again, the measurement of that rectangle as it begins is in under the description box. But I'm basically going to do the same thing here and have that liner. But I don't like to use a marker because either side it will then show. So what I like to use, and I may have lost it already, is my stylus that I use to score, which I just scored that, didn't I? So how far can it go? I haven't moved my seat. Oh, I did put it away. Now this is not the scoring tool that comes with the Scoreboard, the Simply Scoreboard, which I absolutely love, but that's actually in my craft room, and here's a spare one that I have, because that one will fit right inside the gully of the Simply Scoreboard, but I tend to store this upright and then it will fall out, and you guys don't need to know all that. But just remember that it's 1 7/8, so I can come right here, and I'm just going to make a little mark with my score tool here. And then I'm going to come down here, and I want to go 3/4 of an inch, so that would be at 3 1/2. I'm going to make a little score mark there. Now, it's not as easy to do that unless I fold this, and we're going to have to fold it anyway, so I folded it on the score line. Then I can take it back up there, and I can make a little mark there. Now, you don't want to make too big of a mark because you don't want it to be seen. But then you're going to complete that process. Now, this may seem, you know, difficult. It really isn't. It really is a pretty quick process. And, you know, I'm a pretty lazy card maker. I'm always looking for shortcuts. And this is just worth it to me because we are using that ephemera pack, so we won't be taking as much time to put the card together after we get this part done. Now, hopefully that's going to work out. I do eyeball it next to see how that looks inside. And sure enough, look, isn't that nice? Looks pretty good for a liner. So we've got that done. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere that on the inside. And I did on purpose want to keep all the colors. I'm going to explain to you how I choose my flowers. On this particular card, I think I already showed you, I chose the side with all the flowers, and I wanted my colors of flowers to match that of the paper. And that's sort of similar here. There are the yellows and pinks and sort of orangey colors in this. So I will use those colors again, just like in that card for this. Now, it doesn't have to be that way exactly. In fact, you'll see, I don't know if you can tell, but I actually used that same color on this card. But you do want to think about that. I think you always want to make sure things are coordinating. All right, so we'll come in like this and just kind of check and make sure you've got, and even if it's a little off, it's not going to be noticeable by anyone. So you have that. Okay, now the other thing we have to do is with this other 4-inch panel, so you have an inch on either side. I'll fold those down for you to see, and I will be taking my bone folder to it in a minute. But we need to come up to 1 1/4. And I'm going to get my stylus again. Oh yeah, keep putting it back. It's so unlike me. All right, so we're going to do 1 1/4 halfway up, and then this is 4 inches, so 2 inches down. So if I if I put the top of this here, let's do it up here. Well, see, you see the numbers here. I hope this is in the screen. So at 8, 2 inches will be at 6. I hope you're following me there. That's halfway between these two. And then from the bottom, and this is the bottom, we want to come up 1 1/4 inches. And this is kind of important. So I am going to, what I like to do is take some of my pieces that I have around, even that little piece I had you cut off, because if I take 1 1/4, I can count these squares and it will be 5 of them. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this tells me that I am at 1 1/4 here. This is why I really like the grid paper, right? 1 1/4. Now you have to remember which side of this, and it's on this side. And then if I come up here, and these are pieces that I had right here, right from my cutting so far, and I keep this on the 2 inches, then I know that this is the center dot that I'm looking for, and I just make a little mark there with my stylus, okay? I hope it's not complicated. It sounds more complicated when you're trying to instruct than it really is in reality. Now, you could take this back on your trimmer. I will tell you that I normally just take my scissors, start here, and go straight down. It's very forgiving. But as I'm making a video, I am going to go ahead and put this corner, got to make sure you get the right corner, this corner in my gully. No, it's hard to do that. I guess I'm not going to do that because you can't see it. I am going to, forgive me for that. I'm glad you guys see my mistakes. I thought I'd try something with you, but really, it's not going to work. So, and that's what I've done all the time is eyeball it. So you know you're going to start here. And you just aim those scissors right at that dot you've made. Try to go fairly straight. And come this way. And just head straight for that. Now I have a feeling that because I'm doing this on a video, it's going to be a little more awkward. But I think that's going to work fine because this piece that you've just cut off, you are now going to turn it the other way and you're going to put it here to give that front envelope look here. I hope that's making sense. Y'all know I have to say that at least once in one of my videos if you've watched me for any length of time. And mostly all of that cutting now has been done. All of that major tricky cutting, which as I said, it really isn't that tricky if you follow along. Now, one thing I do like to do is, and if it's not fitting as well this way, which I don't know if you noticed, I passed it over. This was a little bit to the right. So one of the directions it's going to meet up just because it's actually the other piece. So you want to find that first and make sure that you know which side you want to adhere on. So I have here a little blending brush that I've already put a bit of the Pretty in Pink on. I don't want it too dark, but I'm just going to kind of do the edge. And the reason I do that, on this one that you've seen, I actually went with a pink watercolor pencil and then I put some Wink Stella. On this one, I did brush it. I like the brushed look better, so that's why I'm going back to it on this card. And so you just want to, you can see that there's a little bit of pink left. And that's just enough. You don't want to overdo it. Many people end up overdoing it, and you really just want it to emphasize the fact that this is an envelope and a paneled piece. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and glue that on. You just want to make sure it's flush with the bottom. There we go. is the front of your envelope. See how that's coming together? Okay, now I am going to use my bone folder to get some nice sharp edges here. It's always helpful when you're going to make a card that you want to fold. And then this last one here, which is our tab that we'll fold in. But one more cut that I think is worthwhile is just to cut at the top of this, just cut this down a little bit so that it doesn't show when you add it in here. Okay, but before we do that, we have this layer left, and we're going to put this in here, and it's going to give us our second layer. Do you see how that's going to go in here? Like that, so that you can progressively bring those flowers out. So the easiest and best way to do that is you put some adhesive. Some of you like the tear and tape. I find this glue, I like it because you can work with it, slide it down a little bit if you need to, slide it up if you need to, because I usually slide this up. I line this edge up with this fold here, which of course my hand's creating a shadow so that you can't see that. And then you want to make sure you bring it all the way down. That helps the card to stand up. And there you go. And now this part is really easy, and you always want to fold your cards as you go along so that you know that they're folding well and that they'll fit into that envelope, which is what we want to have this do. And you have even this tab sticking out, and you're just going to fold this down. And again, you just want to make sure that it's flat and that it's flush at the bottom here so that all of these pieces come to the bottom of the card. So there we have that, right? And now we have this last tab here. Some people think it's easier or have suggested that perhaps it's easier to make the card before you make all these layers and try to build it up. But I find that you can't really get how the flowers are. You want to see what the end result is. So you really do want to make the whole box. And I think in the end, people did agree with me that you get a better look if you build it up while you've got your envelope made into your 3D. By the way, you could, if you wanted to, run your blending brush at these corners too, but I don't think that's as necessary because you tend to see where they are. But this side, I just really like doing a little bit there. So there's your envelope card that folds flat. You can, but well, let's go ahead and do that. At least stamp on it. So here is the back piece that I will be putting here. And I know that I'm going to be using the, I always want to call it Kelly Green, but it's actually Shy Shamrock. And I am going to put the same messages on this one that says you are loved, because there's a lot of people I can send that to. And have a blessed day means that it doesn't have to be an occasion. You can just send a card because you're thinking of somebody. So I'm going to put you are loved here. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere this. Now I am hoping that I'll find a little flower that will go on the back of this the way I put this one here. But I don't want to use flowers that I may wish I had used on the actual card itself on the inside. So I'm going to wait and see what's left over. But I can add that at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to the back. I do hope that you'll check out my other videos using this ephemera pack. I really like some of the cards. I did one the other day. As I said, this is my second one, so I hope you will look for those videos. And I got at least 2 more coming up that I'm excited to share with you. If you subscribe to my channel, you'll get notifications and you'll see that those added videos have gone up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start building this. Now, I did say that I would kind of give you some tips on how to choose your cards from the pack, and I'm going to explain that now. I'm just going to remind you we may or may not use this piece. This is that 1/2 inch at the end of the 10.5 inches. And what I like to do is I start by looking at, well, I've got pinks in here and I've got yellows in here. And then of course you can take any kind of green. And even though these are different greens, in flower arrangement, you often have naturally in nature different color greens. So I'm not really bothered by that. This particular yellow is a great die cut piece. It's a great one because it takes up so much of what you are hoping to accomplish in your cards. So it's, you want to be careful where you put it, but you also absolutely want to use it because it can do so much. So that's the piece that I have here. I don't know if I'm going to keep that the same this time. We'll see, because I have different flowers this time as well, all coming from that pack. I have a lot of this Shy Shamrock green, so I'm going to definitely be sticking that in. I think it's important that you have some that come out of the envelope. Now, I can't put it in the envelope like this because this leaf goes past the edge of this. But if I fold it this way, you'll notice I don't have anything coming by, past this line. And that's what you have to, so while you're building it, you just want to make sure that you have 1 inch that you can go over on just one side. You also can only take it up to this point because that's our 4 1/4 point. And you'll see that this does fit right inside an envelope. There you go, right? Ta-da! But those are the things you have to remember as you build up the card. Okay, so the commercial's over. Got lots of greenery here. Greenery is great for going. It actually looks more realistic if you do have some that's popping out the top and popping out the side, however you do it. And also remember the rule of triangle and odd numbers. So I have more greenery here than I need, probably, but I'm going to put it up here so I can refer to it, use it if I need to. And then I like this one because it's got a little bit of orange in it. And then these yellows. Now there's only 2 of each flower in the pack, but this one and this one and this one are all in it. So you can see that those colors are all complementary. So, and I used obviously another pack to get that. It's too bad it's not 3s because we do like 3s, but we'll have a way around that. You can see I've picked up some of these from my other packets. In fact, I have more over here of these, but I know I only need 1 of these in my envelope to make it work. So I like to try to get a bit of a build up before I actually adhere anything down. So I also really like when a leaf kind of hangs over the side like I did on that other card. So this one, as long as it doesn't go up past 4 1/4, and this one I've got 1 inch I can work on one side. I do like that I had that one that came up right about here. And then we can put a green one in here. And that way you've got 1, 2, 3 leaves, stems. But I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to put that there or not. But if you start at the back and come forward, you can always make them lower so that you can see what you've put in the back. So as I said, I'm going to kind of build this up and see what I think. I like, if I'm going to do a big flower, I have one here. I kind of want to see that one. If I stick this one in, I can either stick it in the back, but I am more likely going to stick it behind here. And if I do stick this one here, then I'm going to want, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to want. See, I like the idea of being able to do this again, where the leaf is sort of coming out here. So that's where it's a combination of seeing what's going on in the back and seeing what you can move forward. I wonder if I'd rather have this stick out here. So you can see how the process I go through to decide where I'm going to put these. But I kind of like this. I might do this with this leaf sticking out. And then I might put these here because I want to get that orange tint to show up right at the beginning too. So since that's fairly low, not coming above this edge, that's what I'm going to do. So I can put glue on this leaf. The bigger flowers, if you put them in first, the advantage to that is they take up a lot of space and then you only have to fill them in. But the disadvantage to that is sometimes you've filled up so much space that you don't have room to put other things and have them show. So it's kind of a dance. So I do think I'm going to put these here. And maybe I'll put some greenery on this side of that. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue at the base of this. And I do kind of want to close this in, but I also want them to see it. In other words, when I say close it in, I want to fill all the way across. There we go. And then maybe, now I can't have this hang over the side, so do remember that, but I could have this come up like that. Now that's an awful long stem to only show this top piece, but it might be worth it to me because you don't want to get so full that you can't bring things up in the back. It also gives you a lot to put glue on to hold it in place. So that is what I'm going to do. You can see already that this is coming up very different from this card. So you've got lots of possibilities. And you're seeing the whole process of me making these decisions. So I really just wanted that little green leaf coming out like that. Okay, I'm liking that. Now I think I might like to put that in there. Yep, I like that. So this time I'm going to put the glue on the back because I'm going to put it on that second piece in here. I'm going to put it just like that. Now you have the options of putting it on the back or front and putting it here, and then you could put a different flower in front here to cover up that, but I'm just going to save that step and I'm going to come and put it right in there. See, I have to keep clearing my space because I tend to get things out, leave it out, and then I have so much cleaning up to do at the end of a video or a day of stamping. I'm also checking to see where my glue goes, because if it goes above that, you don't want to, I mean, you do want to fold this, but you don't want it to adhere to the back of your envelope. You only want the glue to be between the two layers. So yeah, I'm liking that so far. Let's see what else we can do. What else did we look at? We looked at maybe having this hang over the edge here. I had thought about putting this one in, but I'm not sure I like the purple tone of this, the petunia tone, so I'm gonna put that aside for now. I do like the idea of maybe this coming up here with that flower, and then we have these that can come here like this. You know, you probably see it better if I lay it flat down. It's me that doesn't see it as well that way. Remember, you can't go past that point there, but you can go to one side or the other, and in this case we decided on keeping that left side. And then if I put this in, let's see, there's also this green, which is a different kind of leaf, which I like to put some of those different leaves in, and maybe add this like this. Again, make sure it's down from that 4 1/4. You always have to check that. I could even, I may adhere this to the back of this piece right here. So I'm going to do that right now. See if I clean up, then I can't find my glue. Okay, so I decided these things that I haven't glued down yet, but I did decide I wanted this to come up behind here. And I really like that this flower here does pull in a little bit more of the orangey color as well as the yellow. So I'm liking that. The closer you get to the end, the more critical you'll find your decisions seem to be about whether or not you're gonna get that done. Maybe I should do something like that. I kind of like that. All right. Because you run out of, first of all, you've run out of options because you've already adhered some of your options into your card, and then you've got space issues that you have to make sure you've considered. So again, not past that point, but overhanging, because overhanging to me really looks nice. And I like it because you've got this big yellow flower here, and it kind of looks like some greenery from there. And let's see, I think now I'm gonna go ahead and put this large flower in here. Is that too large? Do I wish those leaves weren't on there? What if I did a large flower on both sides in the back? I'm undecided. What if I put this here and let this green piece stick up, and then you've got this nice leaf coming out there, and then I can put this here, and then I've moved them over. Yeah, I think I like that. So now I'm going to stick this here. Again, paying attention to getting this leaf up there. Yep, that's where I'm going to put it. That's the hardest part of this card, is deciding where you're going to put all these flowers. Now, you'll see from some of the other cards I've made a set that are pinks and purples, and you could use petunia card base or something, and then you'll have more options. I just already made that card, and so we're looking for a card I can do with the yellow flowers, and I thought that I could do this envelope card with the yellow flowers. Yes, I am liking that. And let's see if I put that in there, and let me try this other greenery here. Now I like that, but it looks a little off balance now, doesn't it? Because you have, it's too much. You still need something over here. I could do this. Now I can't have it go past this because it's gonna fold this way, and I cannot go past that unless I fold it this way and have this go past that. I could do that. Let's see which way I like it better. So if I did these here like that, going over, and then I did this exactly in here, I'm gonna lay it down and hope that I can still see it if I do that. And this obviously has to come down a little bit. And then do I want these greens here? Again, it has to be lower than this, but these cannot go past that line if I do that. How does that look? See, now I'm gonna try and tip it up so I can see what that looks like. Is it too much greenery? Decisions, decisions. What if I make this go here? I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make this go here and stay up on the line here. And then I'll go back to what I had said before and have them come out on this side. Yeah, in the end, I like that better. So we're gonna put some glue on here. I've decided which way I'm going to fold it, and it's going to be this way, so I need to make sure that these don't go past this line here. And you can just put your finger there to know that it doesn't, because you're going to go like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this in. And I'm gonna let this come over a bit. I'm gonna bring it down. I think that's my problem, is I wanna show so much of it, but it just doesn't work. Sometimes you have to be willing to not show the entire die cut, and then you'll be safe. Now I'm gonna count these afterwards, because if I'm using 3 of something, which I don't believe I am, so that means that you can make this card with 1 set of the ephemera pack. So just know I'm considering that. Make sure this is less than this, but I want it up high enough to really stick out. And then I'll put this in here like this. And yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay. So I'm gonna do the back of it. You always have to decide, are you gluing on the back or the front of it? It all depends on your placement. And again, there we go. I like that. I like that. And then just to make sure, you can press it all down. But can you imagine if you had to stamp all these and then try to put them in and then decide you don't like something about it? Now, and I could have told you that from the beginning, I have completely covered up that liner. See where it's showing here? I think that works better when you've got that flower scene to be able to show that liner, but you can't even tell I have a liner here. That's the only bit showing in there. So that is optional. You don't even have to do the liner if that's another step that you prefer to leave out. We could, let's see, I want to count this. So I only used 2 of these, and there's 2 in each pack. 1 of these, 1 of these, 2 of these. Yes, this card, the way I've made it, you can make with 1 pack of the ephemera. Now, part of me wants to put Part of me wants to put, what did I want to do? Something else maybe behind here, maybe some kind of green or whatever. There are more greens in there. Because I have them out here. Here's a piece. So like there's this little green piece too. What would happen if I stuck that up there? I think I like that. So I am going to add that last little bit. So you can repeat either one of these cards. Either one of these cards are doable with one pack of the Fully Ephemera. But if you really like making these, go ahead and get yourself a couple packs so you can really use the ones you want to use. I am going to take some of this glue off because you just don't want to have extra glue somewhere where you don't need it. There we go. All right, now as nice as that looks, and I think it does, when you add in that little strip, it just finishes the envelope off, in my opinion. And I could clean up this anyway a little bit, any extra glue that you have somewhere that shows up at the end of your card. But I just really like how the greeting itself looks there. So here were some more of my options. And perhaps I'll use them on another card. But so far with the card that I made in the first video and this card, here's the card I made in the first video. Yes, see, I haven't used any of the same greenery or any of the same colors. So you can make this card and this card still from that one set of the ephemera pack. So you can look for that video. And I am now going to stamp. Here's a piece of just, I don't know about you, but when I cut off card fronts, I end up with a lot of pieces that are about half an inch, which is perfect for me to stamp "Have a Blessed Day." So I am going to put that on. And because so much of my leaves are done in the Shy Shamrock, I'm going to go ahead and stamp it in Shy Shamrock. I just think it looks really nice that way. And I am going to bring it closer to the right-hand side, and hopefully you'll see why. Have a blessed day. I did put on the back, "You are loved," yes. Okay, and then if you haven't seen this before, it's really a simple way. I mean, we could just put this on, and I do put this on with dimensionals, and we could just put it on as a rectangle, like that. But I really like this flagged look, and the easiest way to make a flagged look is to cut, and I just eyeball it, halfway up, a small amount, and then from the corner to where you cut, you get a nice little flag. See how easy is that? And then you can just put that on. I'm trying to decide if I wish I had brought that flag closer to, I'm going to do these fiddly things at the end where I want to make this a little bit shorter here. And I think I'm going to make my flag just a little deeper. So I'm going to go there and here. There you go. And then I'm going to raise that up with dimensionals because it really will still go in I don't think it'll need extra postage or anything because it's not that thick of a card. So it can take the dimensionals. And I like my dimensionals, so I am going to go ahead and put about 4 of these on because I don't want my banner to sink in any spot. There we go. Have a blessed day. And I just want to bring it right to this corner. Try to put it on straight, Bethany. There you go. And there's our finished card. Aren't they pretty? Really not that hard. I hope I didn't make it look or sound more complicated than it is. And just remember, you can leave off that whole liner if you want to, or you can, this helps to keep you from having to do too much work in the middle if you use the flower side. And then on here, I guess I'll find me an extra flower that I can put on here. Maybe this one. Did I use two? I think I only used one. Again, I'm trying to make sure, yep, I only used one. So again, I'm just trying to show you ways that you can make several cards, but with the same ephemera pack, and really get your money's worth because you use everything that's inside. So I hope you'll watch for my next video. Subscribe so that you can see that. Give me a like on this video, and I can do my best to keep them coming. And I do have other videos up there that use our series of other different projects. I hope you'll check those out too. And I thank you very much for watching.